Hello YouTube, welcome to another desktop review on Run Level 0. Today we're taking a look at Sabayon Linux. Sabayon Linux is a Gentoo based operating system, or Gentoo, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It's the first Gentoo based system that I've reviewed so far, and I have to admit my experience with Gentoo has not been overly expansive. I have run a couple of Gentoo based distros in over the years, but nothing recently. Gentoo is an independent, rolling released Linux operating system. Sabayon Linux aims to deliver the best out-of-box user experience by providing the latest open source technologies in an elegant format. It is offered in a KDE and Gnome 3 desktop. I chose to download and test Gnome 3 because I haven't tested a Gnome 3 yet. Sabayon, I found out, it's kind of an aside here, when you start looking into some of these distros, take a peek at its history and where it got its name and what it stands for. It can uncover some interesting history. Sabayon Linux apparently is named after an Italian dessert. That's right. It's a custard-based dessert based on chicken eggs, and it has different names throughout different cultures around the world. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it kind of sheds a little bit of light on their little symbol here. The little footprint is actually a chicken foot. So enough of that. What does Sabayon have to offer? Well, I've run it for about 4 days now, and it's pretty much an average Linux desktop distribution. I will say that it has been very stable. I haven't experienced a single system crash on it yet, but I did have a mixed bag of experiences with it. Upon downloading the distribution and installing it, the install took about 30 minutes, and I was running it from a USB thumb drive, which the typical Linux install for me only runs about 10, maybe 15 minutes. Sabayon took me 30 minutes. And it being a rolling release distro, you're always going to get the cutting edge software. Your system is always going to be up to date. You don't have to worry about upgrading your system. After the initial install, there were close to 400 patches waiting for me, and it took it almost an hour and a half to download and install those patches, which is by far the longest amount of time I have ever spent updating and upgrading a Linux system. That harkens back to me to the old Windows days when you just have to wait forever for the thing to patch and update. That's my primary concern with Sabayon. It doesn't seem to be that fast. Overall, I had a very sluggish experience. So while stable, the system appears to be kind of slow. In fact, at idle, the system ran. Let's pull up the system monitor here. See, right now I have Kdenlive and Chrome going, and we're pulling 1.3 gigabytes of memory usage right now. The CPU is at 50%, well, going up 60% capacity here. So it is pulling a lot of system resources. I did check this monitor at idle, and at idle with nothing else going, the operating system was pulling close to 900 meg of RAM, which is very resource heavy in my opinion. Now, like I said, I had a mixed experience with Sabayon Linux. While stable, my concerns over the speed and sluggishness of the system would make me shy away from it. It would be suitable, in my opinion, for an intermediate to advanced user. A lot of the normal processes you would do on a daily basis, such as updating your system, installing software, searching for software, not very intuitive. Now, they do have links on their desktop to get live help, and I thought that was really that was a nice feature. When you click on the Get Live Help, you're actually taken to a web interface, and you can actually log in and chat with somebody live to get assistance. So if you run into any problems, help is just a double click away. On the desktop, you also have an option to donate to the project, as well as a link to the application browser. I'm glad this was here because I would have had a hard time finding it otherwise. Now, they use the Rego application browser, which it has a web-based feel. I had a mixed feelings about this. It is categorized, it is searchable. So the application browser itself seems to be a win, in my opinion. But the speed of the repositories, or rather the lack of speed in the repositories, was a real put-off for me. Just as an example, the only thing that I've installed on this system beyond the updates that were available for me, the only thing I installed was Kdenlive. And when I reached out, found Kdenlive, no problem. It took it 15 minutes to install the one program. So the repos, the repositories, are definitely sluggish, and that was one of the major turnoffs for me. So you have a sluggish operating system on a sluggish desktop with sluggish repositories, makes for a darn trying experience, in my opinion. Another issue that I had with it was with the Chromium browser. Now, I'm glad it came with Chromium. Chromium is my browser of choice, and in my opinion, Firefox dominates a little bit too much of the Linux market as far as default web browsers. But the Flash plugin, or the implementation of Flash on Sabayon, it's really buggy. Sometimes Flash will crash. It doesn't like to maximize videos a lot of times. If you're watching a YouTube video, if you're out there watching Run Level 0 on Sabayon and you decide to maximize your video, a lot of times it'll just crash the Flash player right on the screen, so all you'll get is audio. So that was kind of annoying. If you try to jump ahead or rewind on the video, a lot of times it'll crash. So that was rather annoying. Let's take a peek right quick at some of the other things you get. This is, of course, a Gnome 3 desktop. It's running Gnome 3.6, which is the latest version at this time. They just came out with 3.10, so it is a little bit behind the curve. So let's take a little peek here at some of the applications you get. Again, Chromium is the default browser. Wine comes installed. You can configure it. You get Brassereau as your default browser, the Cheese webcam booth. The firewall is installed, and you can configure it from here, which is, in my opinion, essential for a modern operating system. You have a good firewall. You get Empathy, and Evolution is your email client. There are several games pre-installed. Gedit. The GIMP is installed for your image processing needs. Gwake is installed, which I thought was a nice touch. It's a drop-down text or a drop-down terminal emulator. HexChat. LibreOffice. You get the standard LibreOffice Office Suite. Yeah, all told, it's a fairly vanilla Linux operating system. It has enough in there. It has a torrent client in transmission. There's enough here by the way of applications that it's going to meet your everyday needs. You may want to give it a try, but again, for me, Sabayon Linux, due to its sluggishness and its Flash issues, I won't be sticking with Sabayon, and it'll probably be a while before I come back to it. which is unfortunate. It seems like a pretty good project, and I was impressed by the stability. But again, it has enough issues that I would just as soon try something different. If you've tried Sabayon and you've had a different experience, please let me know. Leave it in a comment below. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, or comment. And I thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Run Level 0. I hope to be with you again soon for another video. Thank you.